Welcome to Katie Calls BS, the podcast where we cut through the noise in course creation, digital products, and business strategy. I'm Katie Miller, bringing you blunt advice, real action steps, and the occasional F-bomb because building a business is hard and the BS isn't helping. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of Katie Calls BS. We are getting close to 150 episodes, which is crazy. This is episode 147. We have some good episodes lined up as we lead into that 150th milestone episode. Then we're just going to take a little break for a couple weeks and come back with some big things for the podcast. But let's dive into this week's episode. I don't know if you've been following along on my Instagram at the Miller Social, but I have been doing this crazy challenge this year. It is running the date, and right now we are in the month of June, which means I am running 6 miles every day, which is not normal. It's not normal. There's a lot of days when I just don't want to. I don't love running in general, which if you look at what I've been doing, you might think that I do, but I don't. I don't consider myself someone that enjoys it regularly, but I am running the date. That means whatever the date is that day, I run the miles that correspond to it. But because of that, because every day can be a struggle, especially as the miles increase, is something I talk to my kids about too, where there are days that you wake up and you just don't want to. You don't want to work out, you don't want to do the thing, but you have to figure out how you're going to do it. A couple of weeks ago, there's a day where I really didn't want to run. And this happens regularly in workout cycles that I've done over the last, 15 years that I've started running. Some days you just don't want to. You just are like, I'm done. I quit. I don't have it in me anymore. You ask yourself, what am I even doing right now? Why am I even doing this anymore? What is the point? It's not about the workout. It's about all of it, about a podcast, about business, about anything. You wake up and you ask yourself this question about what am I doing with my life? You have to tell yourself to keep going. It's really what a lot of business is about and being an entrepreneur is about. You wake up and you tell yourself, today's the day someone's going to say yes to something. And most days, nobody does. But you have to wake up and do it again tomorrow. Or today's the day where my legs feel like crap, but I still have to run. It's so easy to forget why you're doing something or what the goal actually is. Somewhere between the planning and the doing, the reason gets buried underneath the repetition for doing it. We all know that motivation is BS. No one else can decide to do the thing for you. It's about the discipline. It's not really about your why. I guess it can be. I always hated it when people were like, what's your why? What's your why? But it's about looking at your goals. What do you want out of something? As an entrepreneur and a small business owner, the BS is that on some level, this all requires delusion. You wake up and decide that you specifically know something that's worth paying for. That a person who has never met you is going to trust you with their money based on a website, a few posts, and a feeling. You are building something with no guarantee that anyone wants it. You keep building it after the first 3 people say no, the first 50 people say no. You're supposed to keep showing up after a slow month, a slow quarter, a year where the math isn't mathing. Nobody is forcing you to believe any of this is going to work, but you just do. You keep going when the people around you think it's crazy, and your biggest supporters end up becoming random strangers on the internet. That's the delusion. It's also the job. You can't build something from nothing without a level of self-belief that outpaces the actual evidence in front of you. Every entrepreneur who has ever built something that's actually real had to believe in it before there was proof that it deserved that belief. Delusion isn't a bad thing at all. I'm calling out the version of this conversation where we pretend that there's not delusion, where we talk about passion and vision and believing in yourself. Like those are these soft, comfortable ideas instead of what they actually are, which is a slightly irrational commitment to an unproven thing repeated daily with no guarantee of return. It's not easy. It's BS and it takes work. But I don't feel like we talk about that part. It's just this you can do it. Let's go. You've got this. Like, hey girl, keep it up. Nobody talks about the BS that you have to have this just complete delusional commitment to this thing, and you have to believe in yourself. Sometimes you really don't. But delusion is not your strategy. It is not a badge of honor. It's just loud. There's actually research on this. Entrepreneurship researchers have looked at thousands of founders and found one thing in common, that most of them believe their odds of success are well above what actually delivers. It actually makes sense. One study of nearly 3,000 entrepreneurs found that 81% rated their chances of success at 70% or higher. A third believed they were guaranteed to succeed. In reality, the large majority of new businesses don't make it past 5 years. That's the stat we hear most. That gap between what founders believe and what actually happens is not a minor miscalculation. That's most of the people building something right now, walking around convinced it's going to work, with the data saying otherwise. That overconfidence isn't just a bias to fix. Researchers studying this have pointed out that the same overconfidence that leads founders into these costly mistakes is also what lets them attempt things other people would consider impossible. It's the core driver of why anyone starts in the first place. It's one of our greatest assets as entrepreneurs. It's the thing that gets me to continue to run even on the days when I don't think I can or I don't want to anymore. It's the thing that gets you to send the client proposal after the last 4 went nowhere. But we can't survive on delusion alone. The formula is delusion paired with actual skill. It's belief plus competence. Your delusion has to do something out in the world eventually. It has to convince somebody else, a client, a buyer, an audience. Nobody gets convinced by just confidence alone for very long. They get convinced because the confidence is backed up by the skill that you can deliver. They're going to see through the BS eventually. But what if it doesn't work? Those doubts start to creep in. Not the what if I fail completely and I have to quit. The much more common version, what if the thing you believed in doesn't deliver consistently? What if the clients don't show up the way you told yourself they would? What if you build it and some people come, but not enough? This is the part of the entrepreneurship that gets skipped when people say, like, follow your passion. The delusion gets you started, but it doesn't tell you what to do when delusion and reality, go past each other. The data backs this up, too. Across freelancers and independent business owners, inconsistent income is the single biggest challenge people report. I mean, we've all experienced that. 2 out of 3 say it's their top concern. Over 4 in 10 have had at least 1 month with 0 income. Have you ever sat down and actually answered, what if this doesn't work? Not in a doom spiral way, because we've all been to that dark place, but in a real structural, what's my actual plan way? What's plan B? Here's what it might look like for a few different industries. This is the feast or famine problem look. The social media manager that has no bookings, who has built an offer, has a portfolio, has the case studies, has the testimonials from a couple clients, but this month nobody's booking. What's the plan? It's not post more. What's the plan if posting doesn't fix it this month? Most people are in this spot have exactly one thing that they can do. Work harder at the same thing that isn't currently working. That's not a backup plan. That's just doing the same thing, but more doesn't make sense. What about a coach that has 1 or 2 clients, but it's not quite steady enough? A lot of us can relate to this no matter what industry we're in. It doesn't really look like failure from the outside. You have clients, you're doing it, whatever that is, but 1 or 2 clients is not really a business. A lot of people would call that a hobby, something I also think is really tricky for a lot of people mindset-wise when you're starting to build a business and people are like, if you don't have enough clients, this is a hobby. And you're like, well, shit, I'm trying to figure this out. If one of those two clients pauses, you're not down 20%, you're down half your income. What's the plan when your second client doesn't renew? If the honest answer is, I'd panic and consider selling feet pics, that's not a plan. You don't have a backup plan. The fully booked agency owner or consultant, that's a lot of us too. A lot of clients that I work with are the fully booked out agency owners and consultants that are like, okay, well, I have the opposite problem of people who might have a client or two and it's inconsistent, but this is an opposite problem. It looks like great success from the outside. You're booked out, your calendar is packed, you have consistent income. It's the dream, except there's only one of you. Every hour you're booked is an hour you can't sell again. You hit a ceiling the moment your calendar fills up, and the only way to make more is to raise your prices, work more hours, or hire help. All three of those options come with their own risk and their own delays. Being fully booked feels like the win, but it's just a different version of the same exposure. One person, one set of hours, one point of failure. Across all three of these, no bookings, inconsistent clients, or fully booked out, the underlying problem is identical. It all depends on you. The revenue, the business success, whatever that means for you, there's no version of any of these three businesses that survives a bad month, a sick week, or a client who leaves without you scrambling. The research backs this up too. Freelancers and independent business owners with 3 or more income streams, client work plus something else like digital products or teaching, report a meaningful higher total income and lower volatility than people relying on one source. Diversifying isn't a nice to have, a down the road. It's the difference between a bad month being annoying and a bad month being a crisis. You know you need something that doesn't depend entirely on your calendar. You've heard it on the podcast. You have it on your list. Maybe you've had it on there for a while. You've decided to build a digital product. Good. Genuinely. Go build it. I'm not going to spend this episode telling you not to because I'm not trying to convince you of what to do. But here's the part that gets skipped every time someone tells you to just build a digital product. Like it's a single action you can check off a list. You build it. Now what? You have a product that needs a sales page, a launch sequence, an email list that opens your emails. And you've been listening to this show, so you know that it's its own project. You need pricing that reflects what the thing is actually worth, not what feels safe to charge. You need a way for people to find it that isn't just posting about it and hoping, because we don't do the post and pray method. You need to maintain it, update it, and eventually decide whether it's a good second product or a lead-in for something else. What's next? What's after that? Building the product was never the hard part. Everything after the product is the hard part. There is so much already happening in online business and in business in general that requires real expertise, marketing, pricing psychology, email strategy, platform mechanics that change every 6 months, tax and legal structure, customer support, the actual instructional design of whether the thing teaches anyone anything. Why are we trying to do all of that ourselves? I think that's BS. I think the version of entrepreneurship that says you should be able to do everything in your business alone because you're the founder is exactly the kind of advice that sounds noble and quietly burns people out. I understand it because I'm one of those people that wants to figure it out and be able to do it myself too. And I want to save a buck here and there. But I also know some of you are going to build the product yourselves anyway. Some of you should. Some of you are early enough or scrappy enough or just stubborn enough that you're going to do it yourself the first time. And that's the right move. Go for it. Build it yourself. Just go in knowing that building the digital product was step 1 of about 25. Have an honest answer for what happens after launch day, because launch day is not the finish line. It's just the start of a different job. It's all part of the delusion that we can do it all. Delusion plus skill, belief paired with something real. Delusion is what gets you to start the run when you don't want to. It's what gets you to pitch the client after 4 no's. But the skill is what makes the belief land on someone else. It's the thing that turns, "I think I can help you," into a client actually saying yes. The skill isn't just your craft, your coaching, your design work, your strategy. It's also the unglamorous stuff. Knowing your numbers, knowing what a real backup plan looks like before you need one, knowing when to bring in outside expertise instead of white knuckling it alone because asking for help feels like admitting the delusion wasn't enough. It was never supposed to be enough on its own. That's the whole point. The entrepreneurs who last aren't the ones with the most delusion. They're the ones who paired it with enough actual structure that the belief had somewhere to land. If you're sitting with this, here's where to start. Question 1. What's your actual plan if this month is a bad one? Not this vague feeling of, "I'll figure it out if that happens. I haven't had a bad month, but I'll figure it out if it happens." What's an answer? If your best client left, if all your bookings just dried up, if your launch underperforms, what happens next? Question 2, how many income sources do you have right now in your business? One client relationship, one offer, one channel, that's 1 point of failure. If the honest count is 1, that's your starting point. Not a 5-year plan, just the next thing that gets you to 2. Question 3, where does your delusion currently have no skill backing it up? Be honest. Where are you running purely on belief, with no structure, no data, and no plan underneath it? That's not a reason to stop believing, because it's what keeps us going. If you want help figuring out where your business needs that structure, where the belief is doing all the work and something real needs to back it up, because we need something to back it up, that's what the digital product infrastructure audit is for. There's not sugarcoating in that, obviously. It's a real look at what you've built, what's missing, and what needs to exist. So the delusion isn't the only thing that's holding your business up. There's skill that backs it up because you have that skill. The link for that is in the show notes. I still don't want to run on a lot of days. There are plenty of things I don't want to do in my business. We do it anyway, because somewhere along the way we decided to believe it adds up to something, even on the days when there's no proof yet. That's entrepreneurship. That's most of life, honestly. A little bit of delusion, repeated daily until the skill catches up to the belief. Just don't let the delusion be the whole plan. Build something underneath it. That's why we have our businesses. We thought we could do something with the skills that we had, and we started a business. Remember that you don't need to build everything yourself. I'm not saying I'll just build that thing myself instead of hiring an expert. Why? It's not worth my time. Don't let delusion cloud your judgment. In order for you to keep that delusional entrepreneurial spirit alive so you can run your business, you have to remember what your goals are. And I bet it's not doing everything yourself with this feast or famine mindset. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. If this episode hit home, your next step isn't to build anything. It's to audit what you already have. I offer a paid infrastructure audit where I review your current offers, delivery load, and where your business is relying too heavily on you. You'll get a clear decision doc and a Loom walkthrough outlining what actually makes sense next. The link is in the show notes.